The 12 spies were a group of Israelite chieftains, one from each of the 12 tribes, who were dispatched by Moses to scout out the land of Canaan for 40 days as a future home for the Israelite people when the Israelites were in the wilderness. The 12 spies, the grapes of Canaan. Although the spies brought back a cluster of grapes so large that it took 2 men to carry it. Numbers 13:23. Only 2 of the 12 brought back a good report of the land. God had promised Abraham that there would be a promised land for the nations to come out of his son, Isaac. The land of Canaan that the spies were to explore was the same promised land. Moses asked for an assessment of the land's geographic features, the population's strength and numbers, the agricultural potential and actual performance of the land, civic organization, whether their cities were like camps or strongholds, and forestry conditions. He also asked them to be positive in their outlook and return with local produce samples. When 10 of the 12 spies showed little faith in the adverse reports they gave about the land, they were slandering what they believed God had promised them. They did not believe God could help them, and the people were persuaded that it was impossible to take the land. As a result, the entire nation was made to wander in the desert for 40 years until almost the entire generation of men died. Joshua and Caleb were the 2 spies who brought back a good report and believed that God would help them succeed. They were the only men from their generation permitted to go into the promised land after the time of wandering. God had promised the Israelites that they would be able to conquer the land with its indigenous Canaanite nations. Moses instructed the spies to report on the land's agriculture and lay. However, during their tour, the spies saw fortified cities and resident giants, which frightened them and led them to believe that the Israelites would not be able to conquer the land as God had promised. 10 spies decided to bring back an unbalanced report, emphasizing the task's difficulty before them. They gave Moses this account: "We went into the land to which you sent us, and it does flow with milk and honey. Here is its fruit. However, the people who live there are mighty, and the cities are fortified and very large. We even saw descendants of Anak there." Numbers 13:27-28. 2 of the spies, Joshua and Caleb, did not go along with the majority and tried to convince the Israelites that they could conquer the land. Then Caleb silenced the people before Moses and said, "We should go up and take possession of the land, for we can certainly do it." Numbers 13:30. However, the Israelite community believed the majority's conclusions. All spies, except Joshua and Caleb, were struck down with a plague and died. Joshua was, at first, a fierce warrior. He was chosen as the representative from his tribe, Ephraim, to explore the land of Canaan, and agreed with Caleb that the promised land could be conquered. After the incident with the 12 spies, Joshua lived through the 40-year wandering period and was named successor to Moses as instructed by God. Joshua completed the task of leading the Israelites into the promised land and taking possession of it. Joshua also was the leader in renewing the Mosaic covenant with their God. Caleb was from the tribe of Judah. He was also chosen to explore the land of Canaan, and he was, along with Joshua, the other man who said that the God of Israel could help the Israelite people to victory against the Canaanites. God promised Caleb and Joshua that they would receive the land they had explored for themselves and their descendants. Caleb was also told that he would live to go into the promised land. The names of the 12 spies were Shammua, son of Zakkur, from the tribe of Reuben. 2. Shaphat, son of Hori, from the tribe of Simeon. 3. Caleb, son of Jephunneh, from the tribe of Judah. Igal, son of Joseph, from the tribe of Issachar. Hoshea, Joshua, son of Nun, from the tribe of Ephraim. Palti, son of Raphu, from the tribe of Benjamin. 7. Gadiel, son of Sodi, from the tribe of Zebulun. 8. Gadi, son of Susi, from the tribe of Manasseh. Amiel, son of Gamali, from the tribe of Dan. 10. Sethur, son of Michael, from the tribe of Asher. 11. Nahbi, son of Vophsi, from the tribe of Naphtali. 12. Guel, son of Maki, from the tribe of Gad. The word spies may be an incorrect translation. The Hebrew word that the Torah uses is meraglim, which means spy. In Numbers 13, the Hebrew word describing the group is also the word usually translated as men, or the word usually translated as princes. In addition, the 12 were not trained as spies, nor did they conduct any covert activity, nor was there an account that they enlisted indigenous people for help. Thus, the phrase 12 scouts or 12 observers might be an alternative way of describing the group. However, the final point remains that their report resulted in a great outcry. As outlined above, the Israelites despaired. To lose all hope or confidence to enter the Promised Land, and were punished by God. Consequences: the Israelites' belief in the false report amounted to the acceptance of Lashon Hara, lit, evil tongue, slander in Hebrew, against the land of Israel. However, the men who had gone up with him said, "We cannot attack those people. They are stronger than we are." Moreover, they spread a bad report about the land they had explored. They said, "The land we explored devours those living in it. All the people we saw there were of great size. We saw the Nephilim there. The descendants of Anak come from the Nephilim. We seemed like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and we looked the same to them." Numbers 13:31-33. This was considered a grave sin by God. Corresponding to the 40 days that the spies toured the land, God decreed that the Israelites would wander in the wilderness for 40 years due to their unwillingness to take the land. Moreover, the entire generation of men who left Egypt during the Exodus would die in the desert, save for Joshua and Caleb, who did not slander the land. For 40 years the Israelites wandered in the wilderness, eating quail and manna. They were led into the Promised Land. By Joshua, the victory at Jericho marked the beginning of possession of the land. As victories were won, the tracts of land were assigned to each tribe, and they lived peacefully with each other. God brought victories where needed, and his promise to Abraham was fulfilled. Tisha B'Av, according to rabbinic tradition, as seen in the Mishnah Tanit 4.6, the spies' sin produced the annual fast day of Tisha B'Av. When the Israelites accepted the false report, they wept over the false belief that God was setting them up for defeat. The night that the people cried was the 9th of Av, which became a day of weeping and misfortune for all time. Rashi, commenting on Numbers 13:25, notes that the journey was shortened by God, as God foresaw their downfall and subsequent proportionate punishment. 1 day equals 1 year. Remember what happened when the Israelites reached the Promised Land? They had just been rescued from 400 years of slavery. They had walked through the Red Sea and had watched the Egyptian army drown. They had been miraculously guided through the wilderness and been promised a land flowing with milk and honey. Miracle after miracle, blessings after blessings. All they had to do was trust and obey God. Has God blessed you in the past? How is your level of trust today? 11 days after God gave them his law and promises, Israel's children arrived at the Promised Land's border. Moses and Aaron chose 12 men, the top leaders of hundreds of thousands, to explore the land and see if God was telling the truth. After 40 days, they returned with evidence. "We went into the land to which you sent us, and it does flow with milk and honey. Here is its fruit." Numbers 13:27. Is there evidence in your life of God's promises fulfilled? A job, an education, a home, a relationship, a circle of friends? Maybe you should be divorced, and God healed your marriage. Maybe you should be in jail, and your case was thrown out. Maybe you should be dead, and you were healed. Alternatively, on the other hand, maybe your life is proof that not believing God's promises is fruitless. Maybe you are still addicted, angry, sad, and hopeless. Maybe you have forgotten God's character and promises and have accepted second best, which is just what the evil one wants us to do. We have a heavy-duty lesson on how the 12 spies reacted to the Promised Land. Remember, these 12 men traveled throughout the same land. They saw the same things. However, they came to two very different conclusions.